all this money's passing through my hands, but I don't feel like I have anything to really show for it.
What's up, Stripe Nation? Blake Albert's here with B&B Lawn Care. I'm here with the man, like the hardscaping king.
Whoa,
right?
Whoa,
Caleb
whoa.
Auman with Auman Landscape. We're here in where at in Ohio?
Well, this job's in Baltimore, Ohio. But
where are you located?
Yeah, we're out of Carroll, Ohio, Lancaster, Ohio, beautiful Fairfield County, Ohio, southeast of Columbus, about 30 miles.
Check out this view behind us. I mean, this is beautiful, man. This is a beautiful area. You guys just got this done like when? Like
the guys wrapped it up just the other day, actually. So it's just relatively completed. We've got a few punch list items here to wrap up. Just little things. Got to put a steel insert in the fire pit. We're waiting to get back from our fabricator here. We've got a paver that broke during our consolidation process. When you lay the pavers down, you run a compactor over them to consolidate them into your bedding layer, so you get what's truly called interlock. Because these are interlocking pavement systems, is what they're called. So, or concrete pavers. But one of them broke, so we got to pop one of those out and replace it, which is not uncommon at all. We've got some great stuff here. This is one of our more complex designs as far as like textures, lines, and trims and colors. So we did some cool stuff here to really give it some nice visual interest. So we got a dual banding here, which we can do. We like to do it when we've got a really big space. This is like 1,500 square feet of pavers. So we've got a really big area. We like to put a nice big banding. So we're gonna put like this soldier course of pavers here like this. This is called soldier when they're stacked like this. And this is called sailor when they're run long ways like this. So we like to do a big banding like this. We don't wanna do this on a real small patio because this can kind of suck up what is the what we call the main field here. So we've got plenty of room here on this big patio to do like a big banding like that, and helps with the scale of the overall size of the thing. So we did some other cool stuff where here on this main dining area here, when they get their table and chairs in, and on the fire pit, ran this linear and rectilinear paver here at a 45, again just for some cool visual interest. Looks fantastic from the deck up top. Again, lined and banded with, so again, some great visual trim pieces, as well as in our seat wall there. Got some great looking charcoal colored, or actually that's basalt, called Basalt by Unilock. Copthorn paver in the wall there. Gives it some great visual interest, again, instead of just being plain block all the way up.
And what'd you call that, a banding?
We call it a banding, yeah, is what we call it, or you can call it a trim or an edging or whatever, but we call it a banding. We got some low voltage lighting here in the seat wall, and then the client wanted these little capstone lights there, or pure cap lights, whatever you want to call them. All that, just tons of space. We're gonna, I don't know if we are going to or they're going to at some point, wrap these posts in cedar, so it's going to dress those up a lot. But just a lot of great space here. A pad for the hot tub there. That they've got on delivery. It's supposed to be here, I think, pretty soon.
And what stones are these? Are they all Unilock?
This is all. We primarily use Unilock as a paver supplier, and it's a really good quality, professional grade material. And we've got a really good supplier that we buy from. And supplier is everything. Having a good rep. And a supply house that takes good care of you, gets you the product you need when you need it.
Who do you guys use?
We have a company up here called Simcoe that we use a lot. So, and they're down your way. They're actually out of your area.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yep. So,
is it like? I don't want to compare companies because they don't like that, maybe. But is it like a Site One, or is it more
but not as nationally broad as Site One would be. So, Simcoe's in Cincinnati, Columbus, and down in Missouri somewhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they got a big quarry. They bring a lot of stone up out of Missouri. Now this is all manufactured product, of course, out of Unilock, which comes out of mostly out of, or for this job, probably mostly out of Northeast Ohio, up in the Akron Canton area. I can't think of the name of it. It doesn't matter where the plant is. But yeah, so we've got just, again, a ton of really nice usable space. Seat wall here at a nice, most of your seat walls and your chairs and your office stuff are going to be 18 to 22 inches tall, and 18 really is the most standard. You got that seat wall, and I'm really tall, of course, that's the difference, but you got a seat wall that's at a great comfortable height. You can sit here and chat for a long time. I wouldn't want to go much higher than this. Again, that 18 to 22 inches is like a really comfortable seat wall height. This is really great to me. We actually, it's kind of funny, another punch list item we got this caulking in between the product there, in between the stones, and we had a crazy rainstorm blow through and it blew all that latex out, so we got to touch that up here. It's another punch list item. So
oh, wow.
Those are little things like most folks won't notice, but I see it, you know what I mean? And so it's one of those things, like, I feel like the need to call it out, so it's like, again, that's just my OCD in this
Yeah,
world.
well, you don't want to hide anything, and then like one day they're looking and they're like, "What the heck is this?"
Right, absolutely right. Yeah, so it's not acceptable to us, and so we're never going to pass that off on a client. This is that broken paver, the compactor broke right there, so we'll pop that thing out of there, which is actually harder because these are intensely compacted together, so it's actually a little more work than just popping it out of there. But we'll get that thing out of there, put a new one in. It's also a bummer because it's a trim piece, so we'll have to trim.
Oh gosh,
that's how it goes.
Would you just take these two pieces and try to trace along it and just cut this exact same?
Yeah,
or?
it's a puzzle. Exactly. Yeah, just that would be our template. Mark it out, cut it, and reinstall it. Get our sand back around it, and be done.
So for somebody like me that just doesn't do this stuff, but I'm fascinated by this stuff, can you kind of like give us a dummy down version of what you did here? You said there was a couple concrete slabs here.
Yeah, there was an existing concrete pad here. You know, as far as construction goes, layout's a whole nother deal, but as far as the actual installation process goes, there was a concrete slab here that was, you know, just old and dilapidated. We pulled that out of here with our skid steer, disposed of it. We're going to excavate down, depending on the base system you use. We do a lot of open graded systems, so it's going to sit on like a number 57 angular clean limestone, which is like just an angular gravel you see in the driveways and stuff like that. This job's actually all sitting on geosynthetic base, so it's essentially a plastic mat, which is really cool. That it eliminates and reduces a lot of excavation you got to do. But long story short, you do your excavation, compact those subsoils, put down either a 6 inches of your dense graded base, properly compacted, or an open graded stone, which most of our systems are moving to now because of the ease of install, lack of compaction needed, stuff like that. We're going to compact that stuff in, screed out a 1-inch setting bed layer, which is, again, we're using a more up-to-date methodology of a number 9 limestone, which is an open clean stone, so there's no fines in it, nothing that's going to wash out, cause sinking or settling, which is a big deal with pavers. Pavers done right, this is going to last for friggin' ever. Pavers done, you know, you're going to see the weeds and the sinking and stuff like that. It drives you crazy, which our industry fights as a whole of the common perception of pavers. Great thing about pavers is if you have a little bit of an issue somewhere, you know, they can be picked up, you know, install some more base, and it's, you know, your issue is fixed, as opposed to concrete's going to crack. And concrete has a place, and you know, stamped and colored concrete, even they have their applications. They have their times where it's going to be a better option for the client depending on the level of maintenance and care. This is a fine. You know, pavers are your ultimate surface. Like, you cannot beat the richness and aesthetics of pavers. Stamped concrete's not going to touch it. Plain gray concrete's not going to touch it. You know, natural stone, of course, is right up there with it. But there's something about pavers that are just inherently just beautiful and rich and deep.
And it just like it almost looks like it just adds value to it just makes the house look better.
Yeah, absolutely. In this case, in this job, they will get every penny they put into this out of this job. Yeah. So, and it'll just, if you know, they keep it clean and take care of it, it'll just appreciate in value with the house. So, definitely a good investment on that part. So, considering what was here was just this plain gray concrete slab, and now this beautiful, you know, layout, it's definitely going to be a huge asset for their home.
That's awesome, man. This is really pretty. So how long did you say this took? Like 4 weeks?
In general, we had 2 guys on this. We'll bring in our other crew on like paver day and stuff, where we got to move a lot of just hard labor. But for the most part, we're trying to have machines on all this work as much as possible, or like the best machines we can have. So the Bobcat, the buggies, dump trucks, all those items. We were on this for 4 weeks with 2 guys essentially, and we'd have the other guys in again, a couple 3-4 days here and there, and yeah, that's where tracking your man hours and all that kind of stuff is really important to make sure that you're hitting the numbers you need to hit over a project, be it big or little for that matter, of course.
And you use Element Time for that, right?
Yeah, we use Element for our budgeting to figure out what we need to charge, and for our estimating, and then we use Element Time to track the guys and their labor on a project. So they would we'll have guys meet on site as much as possible, so we're not paying them to drive to the site from the shop. That puts them on productive time, not on just drive time, and it's lost forever, right? It's hard to recover that. You can build it in your overhead, but it just drives your price up with lack of something to show for it for your clients. So we'll have guys meet on site as much as possible, but otherwise if they got to go to the shop to get a truck, they're going to clock into drive time. When they get on site, they're going to clock into the Johnson job or whatever it is, and then they're going to clock out of the Johnson job, clock into drive time, go home. And so you can track your drive time all year, how many thousands of hours you get in drive time, how many thousands of hours you have each job individually. And so we know to the minute how many man hours we've got on this job, which is so cool and sometimes so terrifying.
Right.
You're like, oh wow, we're
but
so
then you
over.
add that in to your future estimating, right?
And if you track that properly, you know in the future what you're looking into, or you know what you're going to get into on a job that's 1,500 square feet with X amount of this and X amount of that, and you can begin to bid more accurately. And so if you need to be a little more competitive on a project, you know where you need to be versus what you think you might be. And so it takes some of the guesswork out, but it's all about tracking. We're huge on trying to track our numbers and track production rates. So anytime we're doing something kind of out of the ordinary of like, okay, we need to till that whole area, and it's 2,000 square feet. We get our mini skid steer in here with the tiller attachment. On other jobs, we've tracked how much time it takes to till up really compact areas. A couple passes, 2,000 square feet, and it takes 1 hour to do 2,000 square feet. Awesome, I got a production rate, and now I know this 40,000 square foot area is going to take me that extrapolated out, right? And so it helps, so I've got the production rate book where I'm just capturing all our own production rates with how we do it, with how the machinery we have, and it helps us for future bidding work. And we put that in LMN that way, and build some awesome estimates that way. And we're still not perfect. We still miss stuff all the time, and I misestimate things all the time, and I'm trying to get better about it. And it's a huge thing to make it a profitable company, because we have to be profitable. It's too much risk and too hard of work to not be making a good living doing it.
Yeah, and what were you using before? Just trying to
the guess method. The guess method. Yeah, just the wags, right? Wild ass guess. It was a train wreck. Yeah, and we're still, there's still things where it's like, man, I don't know what that's going to take. And kind of the easier way we break it down now of like, I look at something and I don't know really how long it's going to take. It's like, well, I know in reality, if that's all they had to go do that day, it would take 2 guys a day to do that. So I'm going to put 16 man hours on it right there. Like, I know that's what it's going to take. And if we don't get that job, I'm okay with walking away. That's something too. It's been a big deal now. If like I put the numbers on it that I know we need to have, and I'm willing to walk away if we don't get it. I don't care if we get that work anymore. Sometimes it's like, man, it would have been really cool to get that job because it was beautiful. Would have been beautiful, great portfolio builder, all that. But it's like at the end of the day, it's not going to feed my kids. It's not worth it.
Yeah, that's what in my last video I did with Josh Sutton, and he was telling me the same thing. He's like, now I go and bid a job, and if they say their budget's 20, and they tell me everything they want, and we put it in LMN, and it's like 26,000.
Right.
You know that you need to go back to the drawing board with the customer.
Yeah.
Either need to kind of lower what they want, and maybe you guys can build on it throughout the years or whatever, or you need to learn to just say, it's just not going to work with my business.
Right, yeah, and it's those two options, and you offer to that client to possibly phase in something then that way, or like, we can take out this, like this inlay here is a lot of extra work, right? So if we need to, pare back the budget, we can not do this because this is all trimming and all this cutting. Like, we can just do this main field all through there and save a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
And that gets us there. If you can save a couple $1,000 5 times, you're down 10 grand and you're back in budget. You know what I mean? And just things like that you can work through with the client to figure out what it needs to be. I mean, it's just like anything. Like when you go to buy a truck, it's like, man, power mirrors and windows and all that crap would be cool, but I just can't swing it. It's just not, So it's just like that with anything. You have to figure out what you really want, and the client has to figure out what they really want. Have
you noticed that it just gives you more confidence, and the customers perceive your estimates better when you can say, I mean, we have it mapped out exactly. We're not here just saying, this is going to be a $30,000 project and just kind of winging it.
Sure. Yeah, the more professional proposals you can put together, and with that program too, is like the way you can break down proposals, and if you wanted to disclose all your material costs, or all the material quantities and what that costs the client, and break down all these things by different areas, it is definitely a more exact and more precise and more professional looking proposal than written on a napkin, a flat number, here you go, I'll do it for this. and it's kind of a hope and a prayer that if the homeowner's picking a contractor that does that, and there's some guys that do great work that operate that way,
right?
But that's fine. But the guy may not be running really that great a business on his end, so it's his fault that he's not making any money or can't make his machine payments or runs junk equipment because they're not running a legitimate business that way. So that's one thing with the LMN proposals. You can really craft some beautiful proposals, really fantastic contract verbiage in these things too. It comes with some great templates for contracts, and that's one thing. It alone's worth paying for a year because it's cheaper than having an attorney draft your initial contract. I'd still recommend in your state having your attorney go over that proposal and make sure, or that contract verbiage, to make sure it's applicable in your state. But they've got, the LMN program has a tremendous wealth of assets behind it that are really beneficial to a business.
So what equipment did you have on this job with the two guys?
So our Bobcat T595 was parked on site the whole time. We had a porta potty on site. That's a big deal.
That is so cool.
Dude, you have to. It's, where are the guys...
Because they go right there.
Right, where are the guys going to go? Right there. Or, again, worst case scenario, they got to hop in a truck and go 7 minutes in town, spend whatever time at the gas station, and 7 minutes back, you're out a half hour of production.
At least,
at a minimum, and wear and tear on your truck, fuel, and again, that lost half hour of production, that's only one guy. If you got a crew of guys, say 4 guys, and they all take off to make a bathroom run, you're going to lose, 2 man hours there. It's just absurd.
And they're not just going to run back and start working again. There's another startup, what do we, what was I doing again?
It's a whole nother powwow to start up again.
That is absolutely so cool.
And so so we got a porta-john on site always, and on any job that's over a day or two long, I want that porta can on site. Our hardscape trailer, which has got, again, a ton of tools in it that we need, a brick dumpster or brick scrap dumpster hopper thingy we've got. We try to have the assets on site that are in our inventory to make a job go as efficiently as possible. So,
did you say this was like a 1,500 square foot?
It was 12 or 1,500 square foot. I don't recall off the top of my head. But
and so you don't have to give us exact numbers, but I just want people that are aspiring to this. Like, I think this is awesome.
Yeah.
What is a price range for something like this? This is a pretty huge patio.
Yeah, this is a big one, and there's a lot of a lot of options in this thing.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is in general, these jobs are like, our minimum patio is $10,000. Like, we just can't build any space at all that's under $10,000 hardly. By the time most of them are going to need a set of stairs and stuff like that. Patios in this job are, they're going to be in the $50,000 range.
Yeah.
And that sounds awesome, right? Wow, tons of money.
Yeah. Right.
If it costs you $50,001 to put it in, it doesn't matter. And so, like, the dollars are bigger, which are great when you're doing this kind of stuff, but you can lose your shirt in these just as easy if you run over materials, run over labor, because you just because it's 50 grand may not mean it's the right price anyway. It's a ton of money, but it's so easy to get 40,000 into this.
And you were also here for a month.
Yeah, we had a month. Yeah, so you need to make sure that, like, what your monthly costs are, and that's where that LMN stuff comes in handy, of like, it, based on that time, that's a whole, think of all our bills for the month for our hardscape crew have got to be recovered on this job.
Right.
And so you can break that down if you don't have the software, but there's a free version of the software you can use that'll help you with your budget. It'll set your budget up for you. It's the free version, and it's worth doing.
But that's so powerful. Like, you were here for a month, so you might think, oh, just what do these pavers cost and what is the payroll cost? But what about all the expenses that go in?
All our insurance, all the truck payments, the skid steer payments sat here for a month. Like, that $600 is in this job. And
that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, you have to think about that way. My salary for a month, because I don't touch these jobs, I'm in the field, I'm in the office selling, building, visioning, the company's future. My salary needs recovered on this. Britt doing the same thing, managing the company. Her salary needs recovered on this job. Which we have a second crew, so that's split a little bit because of our duties, but still all the guys' salaries for that month, our insurance, our phone bills, all these things. And again, you divvy it out between our two crews, but it's still like half of that is accounted for on this job, essentially, with the way our company's set up.
Where people that might just, a guy that might just be getting into this and doing his first big job might just look at the job's expenses.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's super powerful. I mean, that could save somebody years of being like, I was making money on paper, but I'm still not making money at the end of the month.
Yeah, like exactly. And I don't feel. Yeah, I just don't. All this money's passing through my hands, but I don't feel like I have anything to really show for it. And so that's where budgeting and just knowing your cost. You know, the cliche. It's getting so cliche. It seems anymore. But you know, it's like. You've got to know your costs. You've got to know your numbers, and so knowing what it costs you and your indirect overhead every month, be it your phone bill and your insurance, all the stuff you can't exactly directly relate to this job, like a direct cost, like the cost of the pavers themselves. That's a direct cost. The Bobcat that sat here for a month, that's a direct cost to this job. And so you've got to know these things if you want to make a profitable, viable business that's going to allow you to retire anything but destitute. So. It's super important that you know these things and you explore it and you take the time. You've just got to buckle down and take the time to figure this stuff out. And it's tough, and I get it, because I was owner-operator for a long, long time, and it was the last thing I wanted to do after a 12 and 15-hour day was like go home and crank numbers, and so I wouldn't, and my business suffered for it. Eventually my first company crashed because of that, like we talked about in the YouTube video a year ago. Matter of fact, almost this month. Yeah. Which is a good one to go back on. It's a good video. Check it out. Lincoln.
Yeah, we'll throw it up somewhere. Yeah.
There you go, Blake. You're welcome.
Thanks.
So just remember to follow Auman Landscape.
Yeah.
So so you got to. I just can't say that enough. It's just so important to track and then know your numbers and take the time to do it. And and hire it out if you have to, because there will be a return on investment there of like pay someone to. If you don't want to do this, pay somebody to do it. And that's really the smarter thing to do, is pay somebody to do it. They will make that investment there will make you money.
All right, Caleb. Thanks for breakfast, by the way.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that was. But go check out Auman Landscape. Is that the tag on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram, YouTube. That's all our stuff. So
obviously he's full of knowledge, man. I mean, it's crazy. We just talking to you and watching your stories, like you're just learning every single day, and that's why people watch them. So check them out. And thanks, man. Let's get no. Less aggressive. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. We're out of here. Peace.